Tonight on Cronkite News, Ray Anderson steps down as Arizona State University's athletic director. What's next for him and the program?
Plus, fish are a major driving force for Arizona's economy every year. What a water-based activity contributes to this desert state.
And the Phoenix Rising are your 2023 USL champions for the first time in club history. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Tabitha Bland.
And I'm Jesse Broaders. Thank you for joining us. We start with the big news out of Arizona State University, where athletic director Ray Anderson resigned today.
Anderson has been AD since 2014, but came under fire the last 2 years since the NCAA started investigating the football program for recruiting violations. Cronkite News reporter Beatrice Martinez is out at Mountain America Stadium with the reaction to the news.
And Beatrice, some have been calling for Ray Anderson to step down for quite some time.
Yeah, that's right, you guys. There were many people who wanted Ray Anderson out since the school gave former head football coach Herm Edwards a huge buyout when he departed the school. Now the AD voluntarily steps down. Football coach Kenny Dillingham was having his weekly presser here at the stadium, and baseball coach Willie Bloomquist was also here having media availability. The two coaches quickly turned their attention to Anderson's departure and what this could mean for the future of ASU athletics.
Anytime there's change, you know, some things fall through and more people get back involved or disengaged. So I definitely think anytime there's change, it rattles enough cages to get, you know, maybe some people involved and understand that, you know, there's a direction we're heading.
If we're going to be successful in today's landscape of college sports, we are going to need help. And that's every sport. We're going to need help. And that's not a threat. That's not a cry. That's just the honest truth, man. We're going to fall further behind if we don't start getting some help from people.
Anderson had 3 years left on his contract. He will remain at ASU as a professor of practice and advisor to the sports law and business program at the law school. Jim Run, the senior vice president of student services, will now take over as interim AD. In Tempe, Beatrice Martinez, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Bea. And coming up later in sports, we'll share the timeline that led to this decision.
And the University of Arizona might be cutting some of its sports programs. At a Board of Regents meeting last week, University President Robert Robbins announced a $240 million financial shortage. According to the Arizona Daily Star, a $55 million loan was given to the athletic department from the university. Robbins said it has not been paid back fast enough. One possible solution was the university athletics department to be sold to an outside vendor. Arizona is the leading state for rattlesnake biodiversity with 13 different species. These snakes are iconic to Arizona's culture, but with major construction ahead, they are not guaranteed to stick around. The hot sun, cactus, and the desert. These represent Arizona, but so does this sound.
So in something as small as just Phoenix, I mean, Phoenix is pretty big, but just this one city, you have 6 different species of rattlesnakes, which is more than almost every state has.
Brian Hughes spends his days on trails, relocating snakes that slither into homes.
Before there were all these houses here, there was just a mountain there. So the rattlesnakes were using all those little situations there, but now there's houses there, there's garages that they make, use of as caves. So rattlesnakes are still going to live there. They're just showing up in people's backyards instead of, the boulders that used to be there.
But it's not as simple as just letting snakes go back into the wild.
Even these feel-good ideas about moving animals out of the way or putting them into a natural environment so that they don't get affected by this, that's not the end of their story.
The real issue is, what is pushing the snakes out?
Roads are part of that larger problem that we see affecting these wildlife communities.
The Arizona Department of Transportation projects a 37% population growth in the next 13 years. That's a lot of cars that need a lot of lanes. New highway proposals may help road congestion, but will cause problems for these guys.
We're just going to watch the same thing happen all over again. I mean, every time that ground breaks in one of these communities, we see the same mistakes that are made with development.
Walking through the desert land like this, you wouldn't necessarily be surprised if you heard some rattling right at your feet. But here on the sidewalk, you might be. Now here's the thing, when the desert land behind me is paved over, the rattlesnakes might come into the new developments and end up right on your doorstep. Hughes responds to calls to properly remove snakes that end up just a little too close for comfort.
So a lot of the work that we do in parks and research that we do with rattlesnakes is to look at not only the habitat where they live, but the really particular places that they use throughout the year.
For these Arizona Western Diamondbacks, cohabitating in a pack rat nest is the perfect new home.
Knowing that is pretty critical. I mean, think of all the places that we walked past that we could have released a snake.
Gathering research is critical for proper relocation.
It is a data-driven process that in these worst-case scenarios, we can have the best approach to going at that.
One thing that's clear is that the roads will keep coming.
It just looks like we've done this before. It's Groundhog Day.
And people like Hughes will keep doing the work of a rattlesnake relitter, moving them along to their next home. Hughes not only focuses on saving the snakes, but also helping people to understand the stigma around them. He says that the first step is trying to understand the fear that people feel towards snakes, and rattlesnake education is important for safety.
And another important animal in Arizona, sheep have been an important part of the Navajo Nation for generations. But climate change and other issues have impacted their presence on the reservation. Navajo families used to keep hundreds of sheep. Now they might be raising just a few. Nikile Begay's family used to have around 150 sheep. Begay now has 15, according to the Associated Press. Decades of droughts have left the land with fewer native grasses, and erosion is increasingly common. The Navajo Department of Agriculture has reported that the number of sheep in the 2024 count is expected to dip below 200,000 counted in 2017. Begay started Rainbow Fiber Co-op in 2020 to help protect traditionally raised herds and keep the weaving tradition alive on the Navajo Nation. And Arizona hatcheries stocked lakes around the state with fish year-round. Cronkite News reporter Roxanne De La Rosa tells us why this activity helps the Arizona economy and why people from other parts of the country come to enjoy fishing.
Either you love fishing or just want to spend some time breathing fresh air and enjoying the water. Several lakes in Arizona are a paradise for locals and people from other states who come for adventure and peace of mind. Every year, Dan Esch follows his passion.
I'm an avid fisherman. I don't get tired of it. I do it all day and I don't get tired of it.
Esch makes the long drive from Pennsylvania to Arizona. At Goldwater Lake, he spends hours fishing.
I usually come out around September and stay till May.
Other locals who love fishing come to this lake for the same reason.
I've been fishing since I was a toddler. I went with my dad and we fished the streams and the lakes.
Page Springs Hatchery is part of the Arizona Game and Fish Department. It breeds rainbow trout, brown trout, and occasionally Gila trout, producing about 750,000 fish per year.
From there, we grow them for about 12 months, 12 to 15 months, depending on how big we need them. When they're about 10 inches, we'll harvest the raceways and bring them out and stock them into well over 100 bodies of water throughout Arizona.
When the fish are ready, they release them into Arizona's lakes, ponds, and streams. Goldwater Lake is one of them. Esch is waiting for the truckload of fish to arrive.
Arizona is the place to be.
Page Springs Hatchery is the largest state-run hatchery and produces nearly 57% of the stock trout, contributing over $185 million to the overall Arizona economy.
By me putting fish in lakes, I allow other people to also enjoy fishing. So it's something I'm passionate about.
Many springs make up the hatchery's water source and produce approximately 8.5 million gallons of water per day at a constant 68 degrees Fahrenheit.
During the summer when it's hot in Phoenix, we'll avoid all that southern area and we'll do a lot of stocking up on the rim. So we'll stock the Prescott Waters, Flagstaff, Payson, and all the lakes up on the rim.
The warmer temperature allows for faster growth of fingerlings, but it isn't conducive to hatching trout eggs. Trout eggs are ideally hatched in water temperatures between 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit.
And then in the wintertime, when those bodies of water down in Phoenix cool off, we'll stock a lot of Phoenix, Yuma, Parker Canyon, Patagonia, Tucson, those areas.
Because of the warmer water temperature, Page Springs is a grow-out station that receives fingerling trout from other state hatcheries to grow out at the facility. Esch says he loves Pennsylvania, but he prefers to spend this time of the year at this lake because he is a country boy at heart.
Arizona stocks the trout with nice, healthy trout. They're fun to catch. They're a great fighting fish, and they're a good eating fish. They're just a lot of fun to catch.
Every year purchased online from the Arizona Game and Fish Department contributes directly to our on-the-ground conservation efforts. In the newsroom, Roxanne de la Rosa, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Roxanne. When we come back, the new policy at the Supreme Court that looks to hold the justices accountable. And Arizona might finally see some rain this weekend. Your forecast is next.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
this is Sun City Garage,
to sports coverage,
against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news.
The bill also gives parents the ability to sue.
And entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
Welcome back. The Department of Defense has revealed that the identities of 5 soldiers killed overseas during a training mission.
The crash happened last week, and we are now learning one of the soldiers killed is from Apache Junction.
This is Sergeant Andrew Southard from Apache Junction. He was just 27 years old. The Department of Defense says that the soldiers were killed during a training exercise on their Black Hawk chopper. In a press release, the Department of Defense said there is no evidence that the crash was caused by hostile actions, but the organization will investigate.
The Supreme Court adopted its first code of ethics today. The policy comes after criticism over several judges' recent behavior. The code outlines 5 canons or standards the judges should abide by, like upholding the court's integrity and avoiding all wrongdoing. A statement issued along with the code acknowledged it as, quote, a codification of principles that the court has historically used.
Meanwhile, in the nation's capital, there are just 4 days until the government is set to run out of funding. As it stands right now, the government could run out of funding Friday at midnight. You may remember the government was in this position in September, but congressional leaders prevented a shutdown with a 45-day spending bill. Now, new House Speaker Mike Johnson is working on a 2-step plan that would fund some government agencies until mid-January and others until February. Leaders from Johnson's own party criticized the bill, saying the bill upholds the status quo.
Back here in Phoenix, the cool down continues in the valley with chances of rain later in the week. Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez joins us now in the Cronkite News Weather Center with the timeline.
Good evening, everyone. We're sitting about 79 degrees right now and chances of clouds for the rest of your evening, dipping down to 74 degrees by 10 p.m. tonight. Looking at our low temperatures for tomorrow, we're pretty cold up north. Grand Canyon hitting a low of 29, Flagstaff a low of 32, Sedona a low of 52, while Phoenix will be hitting a low of 65, Casa Grande a low of 56 for tomorrow. Looking at our high temperatures for tomorrow across the state, we'll be staying in the 80s for the majority pretty southwest part of the state. Phoenix hitting a high of 88, so almost 90 degrees, but not quite there. Casa Grande, a high of 85. Yuma, also a high of 85 for tomorrow. While we are above average for the beginning of this week, because usually our average is 78 degrees with a low of 55 for this time of year, we will be cooling down a little bit looking into the rest of the week. Wednesday, we have a high of 86 with a low of 64. Thursday, some really good news because we have a chance of storms, 10% chance for Thursday with a high of 79 and a low of 67. Looking into the rest of the week, chances of storms for Friday and Saturday. Friday, 20% chance of storms. Saturday, a 40% chance of storms. Cooling down with a high of 74 degrees and a low of 64. Sunday, Monday, the sun comes back, but Tuesday we have a chance of clouds with a high of 74 degrees and a low of 51 for next Tuesday. I'm Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez from the Cronkite Weather Center.
Thanks, Adriana. Now let's switch gears to our sports report. And it may be safe to say that Arizona sports are still alive.
No doubt about it. Our Sam Stern joins us in the newsroom for our top sports headlines.
Thanks, Jesse and Tabitha. Coming up next after the break, 3 Arizona football teams landed big wins over the weekend. Stick around to see how the Sun Devils earned a much-needed historic win at Rose Bowl Stadium.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
This is Sun City Garage,
to sports coverage,
Against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news,
The bill also gives parents the ability to sue.
and entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
Good evening and welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Sam Stern. Continuing coverage from today's breaking news, Arizona State's athletic director Ray Anderson has officially resigned. Anderson has made many headlines with ASU football regarding recruiting violations and implementing a bowl ban for this season. And while he will still be involved with the university's sports law and business program, his departure as AD is effective immediately. His statement from the university says, quote, "We have entered an unprecedented era where the number and magnitude of changes in the college sports landscape are astounding. As I approach my 7th decade of life, these are not matters that my leadership would be able to corral during my tenure." He later continued saying, quote, "Continuity of leadership will be needed, and I am choosing to step aside to let the university find that leader." What a win and what a season for the Phoenix Rising. On Sunday, the football club became United Soccer League champions for the first time in club history. They earned the win after defeating the Charleston Battery in South Carolina. Phoenix has been rising to every occasion this postseason, as this is their 4th straight week scoring in the 90th minute or later. Here's how they got it done. Phoenix tied it with 89.5 minutes on the clock, so it all came down to penalty kicks. Rising goalie Rocco Rios Novo saved the game-tying kick as he was crowned the finals MVP. And the celebration begins for Phoenix as Rising's Juan Guerra becomes the youngest USL coach to lead his team to the cup. Now to a different kind of football, Kyler Murray made his season debut against the Atlanta Falcons. And after 11 months repairing his ACL, he did not miss a beat, leading his team to a 25-23 victory thanks to a last-second field goal by veteran Matt Prater. Murray is definitely making a statement as a leader for this young team.
Seeing him rehab very hard each and every day, first one in the facility, last one to leave, doing the extra stuff, to see him come out yesterday and put on a performance like he did is very, gratifying just from coming in as well, having to do rehab. We in there in the same time. So to just see him on the field and have that success like he did, it felt very good.
State football shocked Pac-12 fans this weekend as the Sun Devils beat the UCLA Bruins in Pasadena 17-7. The Sun Devils left the Bruins scoreless in the first half for only the second time in program history since 2006, all while being down 5 offensive linemen. Then near the end of the third, Cameron Scadaboo finds Elijah Badger in the end zone to make it a 10-0 game. Both teams would later score, but the Sun Devils remain in front for their final conference road trip. After a rocky start to the season, Coach Kenny Dillingham hopes his team can finally trust the process.
I've always felt our team believed in what we're doing. Even though I'm a little crazy, they know it, goofy, they know it, but I do believe they believe in the process and where we're going and what we're going to be. And I think this was a little bit of a validation, but like I told them all along, the validation is not on Saturday. The validation is in you see yourself getting better, you see our team getting better, you see our team growing together throughout the week.
To the newest AP Top 25 college football rankings, 5 teams are representing the Pac-12, including the Arizona Wildcats, with one of the biggest moves of the list, now ranked at 19th. And how about those Wildcats on the court? They got the win against Colorado on the field, but the men's hoops win against number 2 Duke in Blue Devils territory was a major one. Keyshawn Johnson hit a tough and one layup with under 47 seconds left in the second half to push the Wildcats in front 78-73. This marks Arizona's first road win against a top 2 ranked opponent since March of 2001. Following a deflating loss to Mississippi State last Wednesday to open the 2023-2024 season, ASU men's basketball hosted Texas Southern at Desert Financial Arena on Saturday. Our Cronkite News reporter Paul Schultz examined Saturday's victory as well as what improvements the Sun Devils need to make moving forward.
Maybe a little close for comfort, but Arizona State men's basketball comes away with the win in their home opener, avenging last year's loss to Texas Southern. The final score in this one, 63-52.
Anytime you get kind of punched in the mouth like we did on Wednesday night, and there's sometimes a carryover effect, and it didn't affect our defense tonight, but offensively we were still very shaky.
A new roster only 2 games into the season might be expected to struggle at first. But Coach Bobby Hurley expected more.
It's just a little puzzling because we were not really doing that in Europe or, in our scrimmages. So it just, this kind of surfaced out of nowhere.
Hurley mentioned that the locker room wasn't celebratory after the 11-point win, indicating that the team knows there is far more work to be done.
We need to start closing out games when we got leads. I feel like that's the main thing. Our offensive execution is number 2. I just feel like we were up 10. We were up 10 in the second half, and we let them go on the 8-0 run. We got to start having our energy reciprocated in both halves.
Despite what may seem to be a harsh self-reflection less than a week into competition, the team also realizes that with the right mindset, the pieces will fall into place.
We just got to figure out our offense, just try and play hard all the time.
The challenges continue for the Sun Devils, a team that's still waiting on a waiver appeal for Adam Miller. Guard Jose Perez, on the other hand, a new addition. He's been on the roster for less than a month. The homestand continues this week as UMass Lowell comes to DFA on Thursday night. In Tempe, Paul Schultz, Cronkite News.
That wraps up your Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Sam Stern. Jesse and Tabitha, back to you.
Thanks, Sam. And when we come back tonight, a piece of Titanic history, the artifact from the Titanic that sold at auction and the huge price that someone paid for it.
And that's the way it is. Monday, September.
Newscasting has changed a lot since the time of Walter Cronkite. That's why here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, you can learn the studio production skills of today in real time. Whether you want to work audio, direct, technical direct, design graphics, or you can even run the floor. It's all part of the Television Production and Graphics Lab here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. We're going on in 3, 2...
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience
Pales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
and develop your skills with the latest technology.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Welcome back. One of the last surviving menus from the Titanic just sold in an auction.
The water-stained menu fetched more than $100,000. This is what the menu looks like. As you can see by the quality, the menu was in the water for quite a while. The auction house where this was sold says the menu was the first-class menu available for sailors on the first night of sailing. You can see in the fateful night of the Titanic, there was beef, lamb, chicken, and even duck being served.
That's it for Cronkite News. Thank you for joining us.
And for your latest Arizona stories, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.